Hello students, how are you all doing? I hope everything is fine at your end. So although I had sent you the slides earlier, so I thought the first topic of optics, so let me send my audio as well with the slides so that this sets you up and things become clearer for you in the further slides. So please let me know after I have posted this, because that will help me in preparing for the next topics as well. So first of all, coming to the syllabus of optics, so we will be covering interference, diffraction and polarization. Fine. Now first I'll be discussing about interference, wherein I'll be giving an introduction, then I'll be talking about sinusoidal waves, superposition of waves. We'll be also talking about, we'll be deriving the superposition principle, then interference by division of wavefront, interference by division of amplitude, then we'll also be talking about anti-reflecting films, color of thin films, wedge shaped films, Newton's rings and its applications. Then finally we'll also be talking a bit about Michelson interferometer and its applications. Fine. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, now the lecture plan for today is, we'll be having an introduction, then we will be discussing the superposition principle, that is a superposition of sinusoidal waves. Then we will be talking about interference pattern produced on the surface of the water. Then we also will be talking about coherence and interference of light waves. Now first of all, see this animation. As you can see, interference of waves from 2 point sources. So these are the 2 point sources, and the crest are the blue ones and the troughs are the red or the yellow ones. Fine. So you will be having a better idea about this when we go through the following slides. Okay. Now first of all, let us consider the superposition of 2 waves. Now consider the superposition of 2 sinusoidal waves having same frequencies at a particular point. Now let these 2 waves be represented as x1t is equal to a1 cos omega t plus theta 1. Let the other wave be represented as x2t, that is as a function of time, is equal to a2 cos omega t plus theta 2. Now these are basically the displacements of the 2 waves, and my amplitude of these 2 waves are different. In one case it is a1 and in the other case it is a2. The phases are also different, theta 1 and theta 2. You may also denote it as phi 1 and phi 2, that is not a problem, but the frequency we have kept the same. So they are representing the displacement produced by each disturbance. Okay. Now what we'll be doing is, we'll be superposing these 2 waves. Now in this case, both the displacements are in the same direction and may have different amplitude and initial phases. So as in our case, our different amplitudes are a1 and a2 and initial phases are theta 1 and theta 2. Now according to the superposition principle, the resultant displacement xt is given as what? Xt is equal to x1t plus x2t. So this we mark as 2, equation number 2. Now x1, we'll put the value of x1 t, that is a1 cos omega t plus theta 1 plus a2 cos omega t plus theta 2. Fine. We have put both the values of x1t plus x2t. Now we know that cos a plus b is what? Cos a cos b minus sin a sin b. So this is a very famous or very frequently used trigonometrical relation. So this gives me what? A1 cos omega t cos theta 1 minus a1 sin omega t sin theta 1. Similarly, using this cos a plus b, we have a2 cos omega t cos theta 2 minus a2 sin omega t sin theta 2. Okay, very simple. Now all I need to do is, in order to make my life simpler, I will be taking the common term cos omega t from here and from here. So taking the cos omega t common, what I have is, I'll have inside the bracket a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2 minus, now I'll take sin omega t as common from here and here. So sin omega t is common, and within the bracket what I have is a1 sin theta 1 plus a2 sin theta 2. Okay, so this is cos omega t a cos theta. So cos omega t as it is, so a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2 I have denoted as a cos theta, and again here a1 sin theta 1 plus a2 sin theta 2 I have denoted as a sin theta. So finally what I have is cos omega t a cos theta minus sin omega t a sin theta. So this gives me a cos omega t plus theta, because cos a plus b is cos a cos b sin a sin b. Okay, very good. So we have arrived at xt is equal to cos a cos omega t plus theta. Fine. Now where we have used this a cos theta is equal to a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2, and also a sin theta is equal to a1 sin theta 1 plus a2 sin theta 2. So we'll mark this as 3, this is 4, and this is 5. Now note that equation 3 implies that the resultant disturbance is also simple harmonic motion. Yes, now this is also having the same frequency omega but different amplitude. Earlier it was a1 and a2 and different initial phase. Earlier it was theta 1 and theta 2. Now what we do is, we'll try to find this a. For that what we do is, we will square 4 and 5 and then we will be adding them. Now if I do the square of 4, what I'll have is a square cos square theta is equal to, so I'll have a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2 square, whole square. So this will give me a1 square cos square theta 1 plus a2 square cos square theta 2 plus 2a1 a2 cos theta 1 cos theta 2. Similarly, if I square 5, so that will give me cos square sin square theta is equal to a1 square sin square theta 1 plus a2 square sin square theta 2 plus 2a1 a2 sin theta 1 sin theta 2. Now if I add these two, that is square of 4 and 5, what I'll have is a square within bracket cos square theta plus sin square theta. So cos square theta plus sin square theta, as we all know, is 1. So all that remains is a square on the left hand side. Similarly, on the right hand side I have a1 square within bracket cos square theta 1 plus sin square theta 1, which is again 1, plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos theta 1 cos theta 2 plus sin theta 1 plus into sin theta 2. So this is what? This is basically cos theta 1 minus theta 2. Okay? Wonderful. Okay, now from this we have found that a is given as square root of a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos theta 1 minus theta 2. So this is basically the amplitude of the resultant wave. Now considering their phase, what we have is, if I divide 4 by 5, I'll have sin theta by cos theta, which is tan theta is equal to a1 sin theta 1 plus a2 sin theta 2 divided by a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2. Okay. Now note this, the value of theta is not uniquely determined from this 7. However, if we assume our a to be always positive, then value of cos theta and sin theta can be determined using equation 4 and 5 that was shown in the previous slide, which will uniquely determine the value of theta for us. Now from equation 6 we see that if the difference between theta 1 and theta 2, that is theta 1 minus theta 2, is 0, that is cos 0 will be what? a1 square plus a2 square plus 2 a1 a2. Cos 0 is what? Cos 0 is 1. So that in that case I will have a is equal to square root of a1 square plus a2 square plus 2 a1 a2. So that is a1 plus a2 whole square. So a will be a1 plus a2. So this is not only true for 0, even if the value of theta 1 minus theta 2 is 2 pi, 4 pi, etc. In all such cases, I will have my a as a is equal to a1 plus a2. Alright? Very good. So that is to say, now if the displacement are in same phase, so what I have is, then the resultant amplitude will be the sum of two amplitude n, which is known as my constructive interference, that is a is equal to a1 plus a2. Now if my theta 1 minus theta 2 is not 0, 2 pi or 4 pi etc., but it is pi, 3 pi, 5 pi etc., in that case what will be my a? My a will be a1 minus a2. Fine. Why? Because cos pi is minus 1, right? So in that case I will have a is equal to square root of a1 minus a2 whole square. So that's why a is equal to a1 minus a2. So we can say that the resultant amplitude will be the difference of two amplitude and is called destructive interference. So when it was a is equal to a1 plus a2, so that was constructive interference. When a is a1 minus a2, so this is my destructive interference. Okay, very good. Now see, now if we consider the figure below, so this figure if we consider, we see that destructive interference occurs where? So destructive interference occurs here at the point A, then at the point P, Q, R, S. Now what are these? These are basically the points x is equal to 0 here, x equal to lambda by 2 here, x is equal to lambda here, then x equal to 3 lambda by 2 here, etc. Right? That is, so at points P, Q, etc., etc. Fine. So these are the points where we have destructive interference. Now we see that constructive interference occurs where the intensity is maximum, at this point which is P dash, at this point where it is Q dash, at R dash, S dash, etc. Now what are these points? These are, this P dash is what? Lambda by 4, because up to P it is lambda by 2. So that means half of that is lambda by 4. Similarly Q dash is 3 lambda by 4, so on and so forth. That is, at points P dash, Q dash, we have etc. and etc. we have this constructive interference. Now also remember that constructive and destructive interference occurs when there is no violation of conservation of energy, because energy we know has to be conserved always. Okay. Now you see, if instead till now we have considered only two waves, that is two displacements. Now instead of 2, if we have n number of displacements, what we'll have? So nothing much is going to change. Only thing is, we'll have x1 is equal to a1 cos omega t plus theta 1, x2 is equal to a2 cos omega t plus theta 2. So these two are same. So all we will have is, we'll have displacements up to xn now. What is n now? Xn. Xn is an cos omega t plus theta n. Here also omega remains the, that is the frequency remains the same. Now superposition will give me what? The resultant is x is equal to x1 plus x2 plus dot 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 up to xn. So this will again give me a cos omega t plus theta. Fine? Very good. Now we'll see what is the difference. So here we'll have a cos theta. Earlier it was a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2, that's it. But now we'll have these additional terms, that is a1 cos theta 1 plus a2 cos theta 2 plus dot 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 up to an cos theta n. So this I mark as my equation number 14. Now similarly a sin theta will also be written as a1 sin theta 1 plus a2 sin theta 2 plus dot 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 up to an sin theta n. Fine. I hope this is very simple. Now what we'll do is, now we will be considering the combination of waves. Now we are in a position to state the superposition principle. So in the case of waves, in general we can say that when we combine two waves to form a composite wave, the composite wave is the algebraic sum of the two original waves, that point by point in space. We will be adding them point by point in space. So that is my superposition principle. Now when we consider such superposition of waves, we need to consider that when we add the two waves, we need to take into account their direction, whether they are moving in the same direction or in opposite direction, whether their amplitude is same or different, and also their phase. Now for example, in this case you see that these two are almost in phase, same phase. Now if I add these two having different amplitudes a1 and a2, so finally what I'll have is, so since they are in same phase, I'll have a wave which has higher amplitude and my phase is also the same, but phase is, you can say it can be different, but then my amplitude is definitely larger here. Fine. Okay, now the combination of waves. The combination of two waves to form a composite wave is called interference. Fine. Now here we'll have two cases. One is my constructive interference and the other is destructive interference. First of all let's come to constructive interference. Fine. Now see, these two waves, we can say that these two waves are almost in phase. Fine. Not exactly in phase, but almost in phase. So as a result, when we superimpose these two, what I'll have is, there is increase in the amplitude. So in this case, this is known as my constructive interference. So the interference is constructive if the waves reinforce each other. So these two have reinforced each other. So that's why we have constructive interference. Okay. Similarly, coming to destructive interference. Fine. The combination of two waves to form a composite wave is called interference again. That is okay. But now if you consider these two waves, they are out of phase by how much? Almost by pi. So in this case they will again interfere to give what? They will be cancelling each other, almost cancels each other because they are out of phase. So in this case this is also interference, but in this case we call this as destructive interference. The interference is destructive if the waves, they tend to cancel each other. Fine. All right. Very good. Okay. Now coming to interference, there is a very famous line by Max Born, who can be called as father of optics. He said that light plus light do not always give more light, but in certain cases or circumstances it may give darkness as well. Fine. So this is very scientific. So you can think it philosophically as well, right? Anyways, so that is very interesting. Now coming to interference, in general, when two waves superimpose, one can obtain intensity distribution which is basically known as my interference. So it can be either constructive or destructive, fine. Now what is the difference between sound and light waves for interference? Okay, for sound waves, now interference occurs without much difficulty because two interfering waves contain constant phase relationship. That is for sound waves. But in the case of light waves, it is not that easy. Why? Because there is unavailability of getting two independent light sources. Fine. It is because of that. It is because of the unavailability of getting two independent light sources. Although interference does take place from one source itself by maintaining a constant phase relationship. Fine. So that is the difference between interference when we talk about in sound. Okay, now we come to a very important point. So what is that? Now we have understood what is interference. Now how do we produce interference? Fine. So there are mainly two ways of producing interference. Fine. Now what are they? Number one is what? Division of wavefront method. So in this what happens? A beam is allowed to fall on two closely spaced hole and two beams emanating from the holes are allowed to interfere. So this is similar the one that you use in Young's experiment, which we will be discussing later. So this is the number one, and number two is what? Division of amplitude. So in this method what happens? A beam is reflecting, it is allowed to reflect at two or more reflecting surfaces, and the reflected beam is allowed to interfere. Of course, it is possible to observe by multiple beams also to have multiple beam interferometry. So this also, if you want, we can discuss later. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now we come to interference pattern produced on the surface of water. So as you can see here, we have 2 points, that is sources S1 and S2. So let S1 and S2 vibrate in same phase. So they are vibrating in same phase, that is they reach the lowest position at the same time. Same phase, that's why it reaches the lowest position at the same time. Now if the disturbance from S1 produce crest at a distance x from S1, then of course the disturbance from S2 will also produce crest at a distance x from S2. Yes. Now all the points on the perpendicular bisector OY are in the same phase. So this is all the points from S1 and S2. They all lie on this perpendicular bisector. That means all the points lying on this perpendicular bisector are in the same phase. Fine. So this is very important to understand. So we will be considering these conditions in the following slides. Yeah. So this is the better view of the thing that we have discussed. So this is my OY. So in this, all the points lying on this OY perpendicular bisector are in the same phase. So remember these points A, B, C, P, etc. will be discussing in the following slides. Okay. Now, hence at any arbitrary point A, if we consider the point A, we can write the resultant disturbance as what? Y is equal to Y1 plus Y2. So which gave me what? From the previous slides we had 2A cos omega t. So you can just assume this for now. At time t, so if I consider the time t is equal to pi by 4, in this case this is equal to 1 by 4 f is my frequency, is equal to pi by 2 omega. Now if I use pi by 2 omega here, so instead of t, so I'll have pi by 2 omega. So omega omega gets cancelled. I'll have pi by 2. Now cos pi by 2 is what? Cos 90 is 0. So that's why all I have is y is equal to 0 at this particular time. Similarly, at b, we have S2b minus S1b is equal to lambda by 2. So this is the condition for out of phase. So this I mark as 2. Now that is, disturbance reaching at B from S2 must have started when? It must have started half a period. Well, half a period is t is my time period. So half a period earlier than the disturbance reaching at B due to S1. So that is S2B minus S1B. That is how much? That is out of phase by this lambda by 2. So this is the path difference basically. Okay. So thus, due to S1 we have y1 is equal to a cos omega t, and due to S2 we have y2 is equal to a cos omega t minus pi. So these two are out of phase by pi. So a cos omega t minus pi is what? Basically a, consider a here also, a cos omega t minus of a cos omega t. So that is, my y is equal to y1 plus y2 is equal to 0 all the time, because these two gets cancelled each other. So this is one, this is corresponding to destructive interference, also known as nodes. So the points where we have minimum intensity, that is known as my node. So that is minimum intensity at the point. Again, amplitude of two vibrations reaching the point B will not be really equal, as it is at different distance from the sources S1 and S2, which we already saw in the previous slides. Fine? Good. Okay. Now you see, if I consider the other points, so here we see if the distance is large compared to the wavelength lambda, two amplitudes will be nearly equal and the resultant intensity will be sharply 0. So that is what? Kind of a minima. So at point C, we see that S2C minus S1C is equal to lambda, where the phase of vibration are same as at the point A, and we will get constructive interference. So this is my condition for constructive interference. Now hence, if the point P is such that S2P minus S1P is equal to integral multiple of lambda, so this is my condition for maximum intensity. So where my n is given as 0, 1, 2, etc. So then the disturbance reaching the point P from the two sources are in phase and interference will be constructive. So intensity is maximum, as we already said. So this is the condition for maximum intensity or constructive interference. Fine? Okay. So now condition for destructive interference, that is what? When S2P minus S1P is equal to multiple of what? N plus half multiple of lambda. So this is my condition for destructive interference. What will happen? Disturbance reaching the point P is out of phase and we get destructive interference, that is minimum intensity. Fine? Very good. Okay. So now S2P minus S1P is equal to n lambda is my condition for constructive interference, and S2P minus S1P is equal to n plus half lambda is my condition for destructive interference. Okay. Now we come to the last slide for the day, because I'll be leaving you for now. So in this class, what we have studied till now, we have studied interference. We have found the superposition of two waves, and then we have derived the conditions for maximum and minimum, so constructive and destructive interference all. So now the final thing in this lecture is coherence. Now two sources which vibrate with fixed phase difference, so they are said to be coherent sources. So two sources which vibrate with a fixed phase difference between them are said to be coherent sources. Now assume that we have two needles, so they are sometimes vibrating in the same phase, in one phase, sometimes they are vibrating out of phase, they are out of phase from each other, sometimes they are vibrating with a phase of pi by 3 with each other. So then what will happen, the interference pattern will keep on changing. Then so in such cases, if the phase difference changes with such a great rapidity, a stationary interference pattern cannot be observed, and then the sources are said to be incoherent. Fine. So that is the difference between coherent sources and incoherent sources. So this coherence is very important concept in optics. Okay, so with that we have come to the end of today's lecture. I hope I'll be posting this lecture very soon, and please let me know the difficulties and doubts that you are facing, so then I'll take it up one by one. Thank you.